Warning: the following content may be triggering to some viewers.
The worldwide far-left moral panic has well and truly reached Australia. It's been here for a while, to be perfectly honest, but now it's really going into overdrive. The establishment are losing control of the narrative, and they are lashing out at those they deem responsible while stepping up propaganda efforts. We've had Lisa Pukinson tell us all men are at fault for sexual assault. We've had the establishment media and politicians go into meltdown over Fraser Anning's patriotism. In the middle of all this was Adam Giles and his interview of Australian nationalist Blair Cottrell.
And I really believe that there's a dramatic cultural and political shift about to take place, and we want to be at the helm of that.
Well, Blair Cottrell, good luck. I hope it all goes well for you. Thanks very much for joining us. Stay out of trouble, and we'll see if you come to the forefront of politics in the future. Thanks very much.
Did you hear the grievous sin in that clip?
What sin? You're stupid, Matty.
I didn't hear anything wrong there at all. You sure about that? Let's hear it again.
Blair Cottrell, good luck. I hope it all goes well for you. Thanks very much for joining us. Stay out of trouble, and we'll see if you come to the forefront of politics in the future. Thanks very much.
That's right. He was polite, and he wished Blair all the best. He should know better than to be polite to Aussie patriots. There's also the fact that he was speaking to Blair in the first place. Yes, and we can't have that now, can we? Sky subsequently apologised profusely to everyone for such a horrible transgression and put Adam Giles' show into recess, otherwise known as Media Naughty Corner. You see, in the minds of the establishment, letting people hear views outside what they deem acceptable, worse, wishing those views well, is just too much to bear. Not only is Adam Giles innocent, his employer grievously betrayed him and their own audience, essentially insulting these fine Australian men and women to their faces. It was wrong to have Blair Cottrell on Sky News Australia. His views do not reflect ours. The interview has been removed from repeat time slots and online platforms. Greg Burns, news director at Sky. There's a lot in this tweet. Sky News are indeed a news media publisher. So unlike social media, they are free to have their own editorial standards. By removing this interview and making that statement, however, they are essentially saying they will only interview people they consider within an acceptable range of opinion. I wonder why Sky News think it's okay to allow communist liar Sally McMannus to repeatedly speak her utter dribble, but Blair's views, whatever those may be, are entirely unacceptable. Wowee! Communism killed roughly 100 million people, maybe more, in the 20th century alone. Blair's ideas must be stupendously evil to be worse than that, assuming these leftist establishment fools want to be logically consistent, of course. Ha! That's funny. The thing about it, many think he is worse than that. The accusation being that Blair Cottrell is a National Socialist. And that's the worst thing you could possibly be in the current year.
Because it's 2015.
Problem for them. Blair Cottrell is demonstrably not a National Socialist. I even made a video about it. Link in the description. If you're going to make an accusation, you need to back it up with facts and evidence.
But the essence of all of this slander against me is that I am a neo-Nazi. But how did they come to that conclusion? Is it because I'm blonde and I love my country? Oh, that's right, the Hitler's Book in School's Facebook comment. You do realise that the same fake account that made that post is still active right now and is still making phony posts which the media attributes to me. Despite this imposter getting reported hundreds of times for years, Facebook still hasn't deleted this page. And the account still makes posts and attributes them to me, has a few thousand followers too, who may actually think it's me. That is seriously their proof that I am secretly a neo-Nazi. That and also this photo of me doing an interview with a News Corp journalist, which News Corp edited to add a swastika in behind me, then published it, and still publishes it whenever they get the chance.
So the media's accusations of National Socialism come from one completely discredited source, a fake Facebook account that's been repeatedly called out as fake. Sky News claim to be a journalistic organisation, yet they can't even do the basics of fact-checking. The next bit is wonderful, so I just had to leave it in.
Here's me at work. Here's me with my dog.
Puppies!
So he's clearly not a National Socialist, you muppets. He likes dogs, and everyone knows Nazis prefer cats.
Here's what I do in my downtime. Here's me hanging out with some friends. Now you may notice a bit of a problem at this point. I don't have any Nazi symbol tattoos. I don't hang out at skinhead concerts. I don't hate people just because they're not white. And I don't want to make soap and lampshades out of dead Jewish people. So tell me again, why exactly am I a Nazi? And what does that even mean these days? Could it be that you're just not intelligent enough to counter my arguments, so you attack my character instead?
Even daggy Uncle Andrew Bolt fell for the lies. We at Sky News can't attack other outlets for letting themselves be platforms for left-wing extremists and jihadism apologists, and then ourselves give a platform to a thug, bully and anti-Semite like Blair Cottrell. This is unfortunate. I have great respect for Bolt, but this epitomises what is wrong with older conservatives. He should have higher standards and should admit he's wrong about Blair if he values the truth. The faux scandal went all the way to the top, with Sky News operator Australian News Channel CEO Angelos Frangopoulos issuing a statement.
Hey bros, Sky News features a wide debate and discussion from across the political spectrum, and will invite guests at times whose views are objectionable. But when we do, they must be held to account in the context of respectful discourse that meets community and our own expectations. Blair Cottrell will not be back on this channel. Thanks, bros.
I'm now going to show a few clips of the interview itself, and you can decide on your own if you think it meets the standard of respectful discourse.
Look, I think, regardless of Muslims or any other type of people coming into this country, what we lack in this country is national pride. In the same way a lot of Western countries lack the same national pride that is necessary to galvanise the minds of the masses and to protect the people of this country against foreign ideologies, against the sort of shame and guilt complex which is being pumped into the soft heads of our children and into the heads of adults today as well. So I think if we can rebuild or reclaim our traditional identity as Australians, then we may not even need a Donald Trump. We may be able to fix this situation ourselves.
What was that? National pride? How horrible. How could he want people to be proud of this great nation and their own culture? That's just horrendous.
In South Africa right now, in that parliament, those parliamentarians, those ministers are currently drawing up in their constitution means for killing and stealing the property from white workers and farmers in that country. And there's millions of them. There's well over 1 million skilled workers and farmers, white South Africans, desperate to get out of that country. Now we could, right now, stop immigration from every other country in the world and only allow it from South Africa. Get these white South Africans into our country. Not only would we be saving their lives, but we could sustain our economy for 5 years without a problem and grow it exponentially. It ticks all the boxes. It's humanitarian, it's economically efficient.
Oh no, how could he make sound and reasonable arguments like this? What a terrible human being. Hey Short Bus, what do you reckon the real problem they have with this argument is?
White South African farmers are right?
Nailed it.
What the fuck?
We need to think ahead and not import people who are going to clash with us religiously, ideologically or culturally. We need to be sensible about immigration and stop trying to appease lunatics on the left.
Yep, seems perfectly reasonable to me. I'll leave a link in the description to the full interview, including some decent commentary by this guy. Decide for yourself if it was respectful discourse, and whether or not it meets your standards as a member of the community. The outrage itself didn't come from the Sky News audience, who overwhelmingly enjoyed the content and valued Blair's contribution to the discussion. It came from a handful of accounts on Twitter and a couple of Sky News insiders. Political reporter Laura J said,
Blair Cottrell is a right-wing fascist who's a self-confessed Hitler fan. He's boasted about using violence and terror to manipulate women. His rap sheet includes arson, burglary, racial vilification. He's not an activist, he's just an arsehole.
Someone should tell her fascism is actually a left-wing ideology. Moving on. Anchor Janine Perrott said, Blair Cottrell should not be described as an activist, but for what he truly is, a convicted criminal with a dangerous record. His offences are too long to list on Twitter, but should be included in any introduction to him. Character attacks are not arguments, Janine. Neither are stupid voices, Matty. Political editor David Spears just had to get on the virtue signalling bandwagon as well, retweeting Laura J's with this. I have just arrived back in the country tonight to be met with the understandable outrage over this. 100% agree with @LJs. As news director Greg Burns says, it was wrong to have this guy on Sky News. You go, girl. Here's Blair on the issue.
The so-called conservative media station surrenders to libel and abuse predominantly from leftist sock accounts on Twitter, which could even be operated by the same person, such as Berserker Builds, Blair is an actual Nazi, Pauline Pantsdown, Bongo Beach, Big Al, who says everyone is a Nazi and provides some Photoshop pictures of ministers in Nazi uniforms to prove it. Captain Kobold, you interviewed a Nazi, he says. I actually had difficulty finding any abusive comments from accounts that represented actual people. But I am used to this because, as a general rule, if you're going to stand up against subversives, if you're going to continue to persevere, to speak out for love of your country, you're going to be victim of the most vicious slander and defamation. My opinions and my philosophy is never attacked. It's always me personally.
Unfortunately, the Twitter outrage and slander hit the mark, and 3 social justice captured corporations hit Sky right where it hurts. Sky loses brand sponsors following Blair Cottrell interview. Sky News has lost 3 brand sponsors since airing an interview of far-right nationalist Blair Cottrell. American Express, Huggies and Specsavers have all suspended their relationship with the news channel as news director Greg Burns admitted error in judgment. These companies all agreed to sponsor Sky News, knowing they claim to be a place for debate and discussion of ideas. Pulling their ads because Sky interviewed someone a few leftists disagree with is just idiotic, but it hit Sky right below the line. They are a business after all, a business with high overheads. I'll point out again, Sky News allows the views of socialist union thug Sally McMannus. These companies seem perfectly fine with those interviews. Sure, these companies can do what they want with their own money, but we can also call out their rank hypocrisy and stupidity. Adam Giles was reprimanded for doing nothing more than his job as a journalist. He interviewed a man people want to hear. Sky News should be ashamed of their reaction to the leftist outrage mob and their treatment of their own employee. That is, regardless of the bottom line in the short term. In journalistic media, integrity matters more than anything. I'll tell you something. I used to watch Sky News daily because I thought it was a channel interested in the truth. Sadly, I was wrong. Since this debacle, I haven't watched a single minute of it, other than for research purposes, of course. I haven't even watched the Daggy Uncle Bolt report, which was my favourite show. You let us down, Sky. You let down your audience, the people who matter the most. You betrayed our trust in you as a journalistic organisation. Sponsors might pull out, but if you have the audience, you can always find new ones, or scale back operations in order to remain profitable. If you lose your journalistic integrity, you lose the trust people have in you, and to a media company, that's cancer. You don't want to end up like Sky News UK now, do you? Adam Giles did absolutely nothing wrong.
Did you hear?
Pauline Hanson thinks it's okay to be white. Ha 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 ha. What a racist, right?
You again? Yeah, meeting's down the street, mate. Say hi to Sally, you dick ears.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for watching, I really appreciate it. Just wanted to let you know, I do have a full interview with Blair Cottrell on my live channel. Go check it out. I'll leave a link in the description as well, just so you can click straight over there. Do live streams every Monday night, starting from 9:15. Sometimes we're a little bit late, we do try to get there on time. But again, if you liked the video, please don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, and if you could share this video around, it would be absolutely amazing. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you when I see ya.